percentage-based training is killing your strength gains. Now, I know that's a bit of a controversial statement because a lot of people do love percentage-based training. Let's just take a step back and talk about the different types of training that we can do when it comes to our strength training. We have percentage, which is basically taking a percentage of your 1 rep max, and then you take the corresponding load, and then you can operate on that. Another one is rating of perceived exertion, or RP. And the third one is reps in reserve. But if we're being honest with ourselves, reps in reserve is the same thing as RP, and I will not accept anything else. So let's just talk pros and cons, because there is really useful ways to use each of these. When it comes to percentage-based training, it can be useful to go into the gym, know that you have a number to hit, and just go in, hit that number, is what it is. The downside to this is sometimes you might not be in the most aroused state, for lack of a better word. You might not be as excited. You might be sore from the day before. You might have had a bad sleep. And so you can't just rely on an individual number and say, this is the number that I need to hit on a given day. If we contrast this to RPE-based training, you could have a really good day where you're able to push the weight a little bit more. You could have a really difficult day where you aren't able to push the weight, but you're not locked into an individual number. You're just locked in to an effort on that day. This system works really well for people who know how to use it. And there's always a learning process involved. Traditionally, males, we love to hit 9 and 10 RPEs because we think we are stronger and better than we are. And I'll tell you, that never stops. And usually, people who are less confident will tend to underestimate the RP and assume that they can't do as much as they can do. So there's certainly a personality type where maybe working off of numbers is better. But it brings me to the biggest issue, and this is why it's killing your gains. If you're using percentage-based training, this is operating under the assumption that you know what your max is. And the truth of the matter is you have no idea. At a certain time of year, I might be able to deadlift 1,000 plus. At other times of the year, I might be able to deadlift 850. And if I'm trying to use a percentage based on my last time I tested my 1 rep max, unless you tested your 1 rep max very recently, there's no chance that this is going to be accurate anyway. So now we're just choosing numbers that don't really mean a whole lot, that aren't directly correlated to your 1 rep max. And so we're not actually doing anything productive. The counter argument is, well, you could just test your 1 rep max and you can figure it out that way. Now, the biggest challenge with that is that you have to earn the right to be able to test your 1 rep max. If you've gone through a higher volume block, a hypertrophy block, and you want to test your 1 rep max, we're now going from sets of 10 or sets of 12, and you're now going to try to do a single that's probably somewhere in the 30% load range greater than what you're going to test, or than what you've been training at. Basic principles of injury management and recovery: we can't increase intensity 30% from 1 week to the next without putting yourself in harm's way. So what do you do? Because we don't want to use exclusively RPE, because that's just going to be too subject to load fluctuations if you have different feelings on different days. But you don't want to use percentage-based training because you don't know what the actual percentage is based off, and we don't want to be locked into a number every single day. The happy medium lies halfway in between, where you have to start your block of training with RP. There's no other way to do it. You can also use RIR, reps in reserve, if that makes you feel more comfortable. But you have to start with one of those. You have to find your loads based on that. And you have to get comfortable with being honest with yourself that those loads are actually that RPE or that RIR. In the weeks moving forward, you're going to want to have some type of systematic progression. And systematic progression of your numbers or of your effort. And this comes down to what type of person are you? For me, I know that even on a bad day, I can go in and I can hit the number that I need to hit, and it's not going to take a lot out of me. And that's why I've been able to be on now 11 podiums in a row in professional strongman because I know what I can do and I can always do that. There's other people who might be more variable. And if you are, then you're probably gonna need to go to an RP based model. You're gonna work out your block of training. This is gonna be 4, 5, 6 weeks. Over those 4, 5, 6 weeks, you're going to say, start with an RP of 6. Then you go 7, 8, 9, deload. Or you start with a 100 kilo bench press, then you go to 105, 107, 110, 112, and then into a deload. Okay? One of those two methods is your only way of ensuring long-term sustainable strength gains. If this stuff is a bit hard to conceptualize and you don't know how to put it into practice, check out the link in the description. I sell multiple programs that you just buy one off. There's 12 weeks of education. There is obviously a program that runs alongside, and you'll be able to have guidance week over week for all your lifts and all your numbers, and you should be good to go. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Lift heavy, be kind, as per usual, and we'll catch you next time.